Hello and welcome to FTW Philly, presented by Temple University. I'm your host, Marissa Magnata, joined as always by Rosemary Kelly, and I have a big question. Can you feel it? Can you feel it in the air?
I can feel it. I think I know exactly what you're talking about, Marissa.
We're talking about love. We have a couple who met and fell in love over their passion for video games, and I can't wait to share the story with you. Plus, the biggest game in esports right now, Valorant. We have a tutorial for anyone who hasn't made the jump into the game, or if you're still on the edge, you can't figure it out, we've got you covered. But before we get started, there's some big news coming from North Broad Street. Nekra, can you share it with us?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Marissa. It's time for some esports news. Today we are going to be talking about the talk of the town, which is the groundbreaking of the block. I'm super excited to chat about this one. 401 North Broad Street in Spring Gardens is where Nerd Street Gamers is going to call home after its groundbreak on Wednesday, April 14th, with a hope to make esports and gaming more accessible to everyone. For starters, the block will be kitted out with a state-of-the-art arena to hold esports events. In addition, Nerd Street Gamers is teaming up with Philadelphia Parks and Recreation and the Boys and Girls Club to give local kids more opportunities. I can't wait to see how the block turns out. You know I'm going to be spending a lot of my time there. Next, let's go ahead and chat about how the Valorant Champions Tour is doing in North America. Open qualifiers have concluded for stage number 2, and now it's all about who's going to be making it to the Masters Tour and who's going to Iceland at the end of May. Looking ahead, this weekend, these 8 teams will be battling it out to see which 4 teams will be heading to the Challengers Finals on April 29th to May 2nd to face off against Envy, Xset Gaming, 100 Thieves, and Version 1. From there, the top 2 seeds will secure their place to go to Iceland for the Global Masters Tournament happening at the end of May. You can keep an eye out on all of the Valorant action this weekend by heading to twitch.tv/nerdstreetgamers. Remember when we talked about David Beckham's new esports team, Guild Esports? Well, I'm here to give you an update that Guild Esports has just earned their second major title win with their Rocket League team. The 3-player team took home the crown at the Rocket League Championship Series EU Spring Regional, netting them $30,000. Despite only operating since June of 2020 and having a Rocket League team for about 6 months, the Rocket League team in Europe is ranked among the top 5 teams overall. Because of their phenomenal win, you can catch the team playing in the RLCS Spring European Major May 15th and 16th with a prize pool of $100,000. Great job to the team. Finally, we have to talk about the opening week of the Overwatch League. With a fresh new feel to the broadcast and exciting matches, we've got a lot to talk about. The biggest news is that the Houston Outlaws fans should be really excited, not only taking a 3-2 win over the Dallas Fuel and actually winning a map 5, but they did it again versus the 2-time champions, the San Francisco Shock. But of course, we have to talk about our home team, the Philadelphia Fusion. With such a strong start to the season, they went 3-1 versus Seoul Dynasty and had a clean 3-0 sweep over the LA Valiant. The Overwatch League continues on YouTube this weekend, so make sure you don't miss out. That's it for the esports headlines. Still to come, we just talked about Valorant. So if you've ever wanted to try out this game for yourself, then you're gonna want to stay tuned.
Among the competitive space, Riot Games' new title has been making waves in the competitive esports scene. Featuring a rich character list, each with distinct abilities and superpowers, 5 unique maps to play on, and a global esports circuit, Riot knew exactly what they were doing when they set out to become a top contender in the first-person shooter esports market. Welcome to Valorant.
However, as he has to go in aggressive here, he uses his lead, dashes his way across. Lucio already with 3, but sick! Oh, sick!
Down to Miller, feeling a little light.
Is available. Oh, and there's the flash for Sunny, and the spray down is...
Valorant is a free-to-play tactical first-person shooter that highlights fast-paced decision-making, strategic thinking, and precise gunplay. Valorant consists of a 5v5 player format. Players utilize weapons and abilities to secure objectives and take down other players. The team who wins 13 rounds first is crowned the victor. This PC exclusive can be intimidating to comprehend, so let's go over the basics, starting with the agents of Valorant. At first, you'll be thrown into the agent selection screen where you'll choose your character. These characters are assigned to one of 4 roles to help you decide what character you'd like to play. These roles are Sentinels, Controllers, Duelist, and Initiators. But we'll get into that later. Each character has 4 distinct abilities, allowing them to specialize in different aspects of gameplay. Every character gets 1 free ability to use per round. The other 3 abilities require a purchase, which can be bought using credits. An agent's strongest ability, known as their ultimate, can't be bought using credits. Instead, ultimate points are earned throughout matches by performing a variety of tasks. When an agent earns enough ultimate points, their ultimate ability unlocks. Agents can also earn ultimate points by grabbing ult orbs across the map. Now that we have agents covered, let's discuss where you'll be playing. There are currently 5 maps in Valorant: Split, Bind, Icebox, Haven, and Ascent. At the top left, you'll be able to see which map you'll play on. Before we jump into gameplay, let's quickly discuss your HUD. It is important to be aware of your HUD at all times, as it displays critical information throughout each match. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see all of your abilities. At the top left, you'll find your minimap, which shows where you are in relation to the map. We recommend turning this onto a fixed orientation in the settings. Additionally, the name of your current location is displayed under the minimap. This is extremely helpful when trying to tell your teammates the location of an enemy. If you'd like to display the whole map, simply press M. This is where you can see all of the location names. Location callouts can help you communicate with your teammates, so take note of what areas you go to. At the top of your screen, you can view the amount of time left in the round and the total number of players on each team. Whenever a player is taken out, you'll be notified on the right side with the kill feed. At the bottom right, you can see how many bullets you currently have. Now that you're familiar with the layout, let's dive into the gameplay itself. Valorant consists of a 5v5 player format where players utilize weapons and abilities to secure objectives. The team who wins 13 rounds first is crowned the victor. In these rounds, teams will play on either attack or defense, and will switch off at halftime every 12 rounds. Each round lasts for 1 minute and 40 seconds. In a situation where the score reaches 12-12, the rounds will continue until a team pulls ahead by 2. The attacker's objective is to plant the spike at one of the designated sites on the map, labeled with a huge A, B, or C. Planting the spike takes 4 seconds, and can be done by holding the 4 key. If the spike explodes, the attackers win. The defenders have to prevent the attackers from planting the spike. If the spike is planted, the defenders have 45 seconds to defuse it before the spike explodes. During this time, the attackers have to guard the spike from the defenders trying to defuse it. Defusing the spike takes a total of 7 seconds. However, halfway through defusing, you'll reach a checkpoint. If you stop defusing, whenever someone comes back to defuse, they'll start from that checkpoint. If the bomb is defused, the defenders win. Another win factor for both teams is by eliminating the opposing team before the spike is planted. Earlier we mentioned the different roles of agents in Valorant. These roles are meant to serve as assistants when selecting a character that fits your playstyle. Let's dive a little deeper into the intricacies of roles. Our first role is Duelist. These are agents that have abilities primarily focused around helping themselves and dealing damage to enemies. Duelists are expected to have a high elimination count and are perfect for you if you prefer an aggressive playstyle. Initiators are the next type of agent. These agents challenge angles and primarily use abilities to disrupt defenders. They excel at getting their team onto the bomb site. They also have a lot of ways of gaining information. If you like setting the pace of an attack, you'll love Initiators. Next are Sentinels. These are the strongest support class characters. Their abilities prioritize aiding their team and locking down areas of the map. Sentinel agents excel at defense. While playing as a Sentinel, you'll quickly feel like the backbone of the team. And finally, Control agents. These types of agents are known for their abilities that provide advantageous scenarios for their teammates. They love blocking lines of sight with smoke abilities and forcing enemies into unsavory positions. If you like catching people off guard, Control agents are perfect for you. Let's talk about the weapons that make up Valorant. The weapons you play are often determined by those that you can afford. This is because Valorant has an economy system that fluctuates each round. To earn credits, you'll have to eliminate other players, plant the spike, defuse the spike, or win rounds.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
The beginning of each round is known as the buy phase. During this, you can buy weapons for yourself or for a teammate. In the earlier rounds of a match, you typically won't have much money. Because of this, players tend to stick to cheaper weapons, such as pistols and submachine guns. As rounds progress, you'll find yourself earning more money, allowing you to purchase better, more effective weapons. Valorant's aiming can take a while to get used to, as it isn't like traditional aiming that you find in games like Call of Duty. Accuracy is key to doing well in Valorant. Your agent will be a lot more accurate when standing still, or even more so when crouching. The catch here is that while you're standing still or crouching, you're exposing yourself as an easy target for the enemy, so you'll want to practice and figure out what works best for you. Generally, it's always great to aim for the head. Gunshots deal extra damage and can take enemies out much faster compared to body shots. You can aim down sights with most weapons. However, the fire rate is considerably lower when aiming down sights compared to hip firing. When shooting continuously with a gun, otherwise known as spraying, there are different patterns that you can follow to maintain more accuracy. For example, with the Odin, if you crouch and start to aim down sights, you'll have a much better time at maintaining your accuracy. Regardless of knowing the patterns for each gun, the biggest thing to remember is that practice makes perfect. Valorant is currently one of the most popular esports titles in the world, offering intense, exciting gameplay. The more you play, the better you'll become. Welcome to Valorant.
Nekra, are you ready to play? Are you obsessed?
I think I might be finally ready to get my feet wet with the game. Honestly, as one of the biggest esports and something that we cover a lot on esports news, I'm a little ashamed I haven't tried it yet, but it's always been such a daunting game. And I feel like with this tutorial, I'm super ready to get started.
Awesome. Well, it is a big hit in my house. I've tried it a couple of times, but I think after that tutorial, I am ready to jump in with no help and play on my own.
You sure you don't want to duo queue together? I feel like that's another thing we've got to add to our bucket list of things to do.
It's on the docket. I can't wait until we do that. Well, coming up, we have FOV with Darf and a love story for the ages.
Welcome to Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. I'm Darf Mike coming to you live from a yet-to-be-updated Minecraft cliff, and we've got a bunch of news to get into, so let's dig in. Mojang announced that the upcoming Minecraft Caves and Cliffs update would be split into two parts, with the first part coming on the original timeline of summer 2021, and the second part shipping sometime in the holidays of this year. And that's fine, actually perfectly reasonable. This is a huge, ambitious update that's going to completely reshape the way Minecraft worlds are actually formed, increasing the height of the world so as to pack in more of those caves and or cliffs for you to explore. Now you're still going to get content this summer, and what are you going to get? Most of the new mobs and blocks will be coming in that first patch. We're talking axolotls, we're talking goats, we're talking crystals and copper and all sorts of new things to experiment and play with as Minecraft continues to deliver just oodles and oodles of new content. You just have to wait a little bit longer to explore those deep depths. And that's completely okay. Mojang needs to take care of their employees first in this era of COVID issues. And frankly, Mojang is such a wholesome developer that they must be protected at all costs. Apex Legends Season 9 is coming on May the 4th, titled Legacy. We already know a lot of the content that's coming with the new patch, including the next legend. Her name is Valkyrie, and she's carrying on the legacy of a character from Titanfall 2, Viper, as she's his daughter, and will be bringing elements of the pilot gameplay from those games into the Apex games. And that's exciting, and very exciting for anyone who's a fan of the old franchise, and anyone who's a fan of the new lore. There's also going to be changes to the map Olympus, and a new weapon in the game called the Bodeck Bow. It's a high-skill implemented bow, which is cool. Bows are awesome, but I will caution you to say the history of FPS games is littered with poor implementations of high-strung weapons. Surprise, surprise, Amazon Game Studios are canceling another game. This time the victim is a free-to-play Lord of the Rings MMO. This time it may not be entirely Amazon's fault. They were partnering with a company called Leiyu Technologies, and Leiyu was acquired by Tencent back in December of last year. And apparently Tencent and Amazon have not been able to get together and work things out to continue development of the game. So it's been canned, and everybody loses. Come on, that would have been so much fun. At this point, Amazon Game Studios have utterly failed to actually publish any of those game things they keep talking about. They've got high-budget failed projects like Crucible and delayed projects like New World and nothing to actually show for it. At this point, they need to change their name to more accurately reflect their output. I'm thinking The Morgue. It's a tale of two Bowsers, as Nintendo of America and their president, Doug Bowser, are suing Team Executor and their leader, Gary Bowser, for creating devices used to pirate Nintendo Switch games. It's a sordid tale, and I am disappointed to inform you that neither Bowser is actually the king of the Koopa Kingdom. What one of them is instead is a pirate. Nintendo is accusing Gary Bowser of running an international pirate ring, which sounds awesome until you realize it doesn't involve a single peg leg or eye patch. What involves instead is loads of pirated games accessible to be played on Nintendo Switch devices, and that is something Nintendo cannot abide. So while there is no actual plundering going on or swashbuckling, Nintendo is taking aggressive steps to secure their booty. That's it for this week on Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. Now, I've been up quite a while mining all these scoops. I wonder how many days it's been. Get to bed. Oh God!
This is Tenny. They're the player 1 to my player 2, and they are a Kirby enthusiast.
And this is Kirsten, my player 2 to my player 1, very into spooky games and Final Fantasy RPGs. Kirsten and I met online. We met on OkCupid 9 years ago. We were both going to college at the time, and we found that we had a mutual love of video games and other geeky content.
Yeah, Tenny was like, look at my video game collection, which is a pickup line that probably doesn't work every time.
I was flexing.
Yeah.
So I was definitely an amateur video game collector at the time. I say amateur because it was mostly me holding on to stuff that I had since I was a kid. But I always loved to share video games with people that I cared about, so I would bring a Super Nintendo or a Sega Genesis or something like that over to Kirsten's dorm and we would play together. Ooh, I got the gloves now, I can do a big blast.
So when I met Tenny and I learned that this was something that they really liked, I actually was inspired to go dig out and dust off some of my old classics as well, and I was surprised like how good the condition everything was. Our collection exists in our top floor living room. We got shelves of NES, SNES, Sega Genesis games, Wii, PS1, PS2.
Some of the crown jewels of my collection are probably the Famicom and Super Famicom. The Famicom had been kind of a white whale for me. All I had was this like one cartridge that was just a mystery to me because it was all in another language. I couldn't play it on anything. So I was just like, this is just forever going to be locked away for me. This is the cartridge that I had growing up. It's got 64 bootleg games on it.
When I went to Japan and I was hunting down souvenirs for everybody, I knew that Tenny specifically wanted the Famicom and Super Famicom. I forgot which one they wanted more, so I went and I got the Super Famicom, and then I got onto Skype and told Tenny, like, hey, I found the Super Famicom. And you're like, oh, that's great. Did they have any Famicoms? So I was like, I have to go back. So I went all the way back and I ended up getting the Famicom as well.
I remember like being near struck to tears, if not actually struck to tears, when I received them, and I felt like I was getting an engagement ring or something, because these had been systems that I had wanted for such a long time and didn't know how I would ever get them. And Kirsten bringing that home just so that I could unlock that mystery, that was really meaningful for me, because then I got to experience this together with her and discover a bunch of games that I had never gotten to experience.
I think the games that we grew up playing kind of shape us in a way, so being able to go back and see games that Tenny thought were special, like I feel like a deeper connection with them, like, oh, this had a lot of meaning to you when you were a little kid.
N64 Bomberman. We've been working on beating this one because I never beat it as a kid. Being able to share that with a partner, it kind of means we get to go on dates where we look for video games together, but also it means that I can share something that's very important to me to the person that is most important to me.
Do you know what the mic is about?
Yeah, so some of the games require you to talk to them.
With retro game shops, I really started to see the value of video games because there would be these games from my childhood that I just had held on to that I realized were worth something, and then the hunt would begin. Then I would see a game I wanted, and then I would get in my car and make sure that I got it before anybody else.
A huge part of any business, but especially video games, is the memories tied to the games that you played. So it's very important that people have the same feelings they had when they were a child, playing their first game or the first system. And you know, digging into that nostalgia really helps you get away and just, you know, rediscover joy that you had as a kid.
Our upstairs is kind of our sanctuary and kind of like a little shrine to the things that we both like. Whenever I think of video games, I think about Tenny, because the two are kind of inseparable to me at this point. So it's just very nice to go and see this cultivated space that's built upon things that they found special and shaped them, and the things that I found special and want to share with them. Aw, I love that one.
For me, being a video game collector is an important part of history keeping for an art form that I feel really passionate about and have felt really passionate about all my life. I don't think that there is going to be a stop to collecting. As long as there are games that resonate with us, we'll want to have them and keep those memories alive and really share them with other people. I guess the end of collecting is whenever they stop making video games, which is hopefully never. My ghost got wrecked.
Somehow that worked out in my favor.
What a wonderful story. Kirsten and Tenny, you guys have just set the bar so high. Appreciate that, just for all of the lovebirds out there.
I know, and also that gaming collection. Marissa, I am absolutely drooling over it right now. They showed off so many of their amazing games and systems. What's one thing that you cannot give up in your collection?
Ooh, definitely my Game Boy. My brother has asked me for it so many times. Sorry, you're never getting it. It has a little corrosion from the batteries that I left in it too long. I don't care. It is my piece de resistance of my collection. No, I have to ask, did you know that system that they mentioned, they bought the games in Japan? I had never heard of it before.
I've actually never heard of it either, but it seems really rare, so congratulations to them for getting their hands on it.
Appreciate it. We're gonna have to reach out and find them and play some games.
Oh yeah.
All right, well that's gonna do it for us this week. For everybody behind FTW Philly, presented by Temple University, for Necra and myself, have a great week and we'll see you next time.